Welcome everyone to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping into the fascinating journey of Fahadh Faasil. Now, he's a name popping up more and more across Indian cinema, but his path, it's got some really surprising turns. Our mission here is simple. Dig into the key insights, the cool facts from all the biographical stuff we've gathered on him, and basically give you a shortcut to understanding what makes him so unique, his impact.
Exactly. And look, this isn't just a, A to B life story. We're really trying to examine how things like coming from a big film family, taking this very unexpected educational detour, facing a pretty major career setback right at the start, and then his commitment to roles that are definitely not typical hero material, how all that shaped the actor everyone respects so much today. What can we maybe learn from his resilience, his artistic choices, especially when they went against the grain?
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that right from the start. Fahadh Faasil, born Abdul Hamid Mohammed Fahadh Faasil, August 8, 1982, Alappuzha, Kerala. Cinema was in his blood, basically. His father, Faasil, is a huge name, a celebrated filmmaker in Malayalam cinema. But here's where it gets interesting, that P tour you mentioned. After school in Kerala, he heads to the U.S. and gets a master's degree in philosophy from the University of Miami. Okay, hold on. A master's in philosophy. For someone who becomes an actor, that's definitely not the standard path, is it? I mean, what does that kind of background, thinking about big ideas, critical thinking, what does that bring to acting? Especially his kind of intense, deep acting.
It's a really fascinating question. You almost never see that. But it could be incredibly formative, right? Maybe it gave him a different way to, dissect characters. Or maybe even a philosophical way to handle setbacks. Because as you know, his debut, it wasn't smooth. He was just 19, 2002. The film was Kayeth Mdarath, directed by his dad. And it just didn't work. Commercial failure, critics were harsh. And Fahadh, he actually stepped away, took a 7-year break from acting. Completely, which is wild in this industry. Things move so fast.
Yeah.
Surviving that kind of public failure and a long absence, very rare.
7 years. It's hard to even imagine, right?
Yeah.
Taking that kind of break right after your first shot. Most people would probably just give up. So maybe the break wasn't just hiding away. Maybe it was, like you said, a time for growth, thinking, reading, figuring things out, which then fed back into his acting later.
Yeah. I think absolutely that failure, that hiatus, it sounds counterintuitive, but it probably forged the actor he became. It likely shaped how he thought about art, his approach, let him reset. And when he did come back in 2009, it was in an anthology film, Kerala Cafe. His part, Minoru Nonjiam, got some good nods, not huge, but praise. A signal that something had shifted.
Right, a subtle shift, but it picked up speed fast. That 2011 to 2013 period, that was his real arrival, you could say. He seemed very deliberate about showing his range. You had Chapa Kurishu in 2011 playing a pretty morally gray character, then 22 Female Katayam in 2012, brilliant as the antagonist, Cyril, just chilling. And also Diamond Necklace, Aniyam Razulam, and North 24 Katharam, all around 2012, 2013. He even won a National Film Award, special mention for that last one. So how unusual was that kind of comeback, defined by these complex, sometimes unlikable characters in an industry that often just wants straightforward heroes?
Oh, it was a very smart, very strategic move. Instead of trying to fit the hero mold after that first film bombed, he basically carved out his own niche. He became known as the guy who picks interesting, unconventional scripts. The guy with that really natural, grounded acting style. It clearly wasn't about chasing, the easy mass market appeal. It felt more like it was about the art, about showing a different kind of leading man was possible. And that really set the stage for everything else. It marked him as someone willing to take risks.
And boy, did he keep taking them. He's now renowned for this incredible range. He can play romantic leads. He can play absolute psychopaths, often in these smaller, more indie-style Malayalam film. I mean, just look at the list. Vaishnavi Prathakaram in 16, Takeoff, Thanda Muthalam, Driksakshiam, both in 17, and John Prakashan in 18. Then Trance in 2020, Joji in 21, that Macbeth adaptation on Prime Video. Wow. Yeah. And Malik, the political epic, also 21. What is it that lets him just embody these vastly different people so convincingly? Is it back to that philosophy background, maybe? That depth?
It's probably a mix of things, yeah. And that training, it could well play a part. He seems to have this ability to really get inside a character's head, not just put on a show. He often dials back the big theatrics to show you what's going on underneath, which works just as well for a quiet romance as it does for a complex villain. And that skill, plus being smart about how media was changing, that directly led to him jumping onto OTT platforms so successfully.
Right. That's such a key point. He was really one of the first big Malayalam stars to properly embrace streaming, wasn't he? Films like See You Soon in 2020, Joji. In 2021, they found a huge audience that way.
Yeah.
How big a deal was that move for his career? especially getting known across India.
Oh, massive. It was incredibly significant. It meant his work, which maybe had been more contained regionally before, suddenly blew up nationally, even internationally. Anyone could watch it. It really positioned him as a forward thinker and just let his talent speak for itself across language barriers. Huge boost for his pan-India visibility.
And you definitely see that reach expanding into other industries now. Tamil, Telugu cinema, he cemented his status there. Those villain roles are just iconic now. Agent Amar in Vikram, the Tamil film with Kamal Hassan, 2022, and S.P. Panwar Singh's Shekhawat in Pushpa, The Rise, the Telugu blockbuster from 2021. And he's coming back for Pushpa, the rule, apparently, taking these huge antagonist roles in massive pan-Indian films. That's bold, especially when your foundation is more nuanced work. What do you think drives those choices?
Well, it says a lot about his artistic ambition, I think. And maybe a lack of typical actor ego. I mean, here's an actor who can absolutely carry a film as the lead, but he takes on these powerful, often scene-stealing villain parts in other languages. It suggests he's really committed to good stories, wherever they are, whatever the role. And maybe it's also a smart way to grow his audience without selling out, because those villain roles, they still have a lot of meat on them.
And his impact isn't just on screen. He's producing, too, right? Under his banner, Fahadh Faasil and Friends. Seems like he's collaborating with newer filmmakers, promoting quality stuff. And personally, he married actress Nazria Nazim back in 2014. They starred together in Bangalore days that year. They seem like a really well-liked couple.
Yeah, and here's something else interesting that's come out. Even though he's known for being intensely private, really media shy, Fahad has actually spoken openly about dealing with ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, when he was a kid, which is, a very personal thing to share. What does that tell you? Someone so private revealing that, especially in an industry where people often hide struggles.
That is interesting. It suggests a kind of quiet honesty, maybe? Courage, even. Perhaps it ties back to that introspective quality in his performances.
Yeah.
That willingness to embrace complexity in himself and his characters. And it's a subtle way of, supporting mental health awareness just by being open.
Exactly. And you see that depth reflected in his style, his legacy so far. People celebrate his method acting, sure, but also his minimalism, how he can convey so much with so little. He gets called a director's actor a lot because he seems to just mold himself to the role and elevate it with these small, nuanced choices.
So putting it all together then.
Yeah.
His whole journey. What's the bigger picture mean for Indian cinema? Is he kind of setting a new standard?
I really think he is, yeah. He keeps redefining things, first in Malayalam cinema, but the ripple effect is hitting Indian cinema overall. He makes these bold choices, clearly prioritizing great storytelling over just being a star. He's basically proven you can achieve massive success and critical acclaim by focusing on character, on narrative depth, not just following the usual commercial formulas. And the awards show it, multiple Kerala State Film Awards, Filmfare Awards, South, and just this widespread agreement that he's genuinely one of the finest actors working in India today.
Which brings us nicely to the end of this deep dive on Fahadh Faasil. What a journey, right? From that tough debut, the 7 years away, to becoming this award-winning pan-India presence known for taking the unconventional path.
So maybe something to chew on as you think about his career is this. How much does someone's personal philosophy or even life's curveballs, like getting a master's in philosophy or facing a huge career setback, how much does that really feed into their ability to connect with and portray the messy, complicated truth of being human on screen?
Definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for joining us on the deep dive. We hope this got you thinking and maybe inspires you to keep exploring the amazing world of cinema.